squeaky chair, clicky keyboard. What the fuck?
What's wrong with my keyboard? I love my... I love the noise of my keyboard. Don't you?
No.
I like sharing an office with Paul. I miss sharing an office with Paul. Alright, so today we're going to be working on another dead MacBook. This here is a MacBook Air. It looks like we've got an A1466. Let's see what it's doing. We're going to turn on my power supply, also turn on the power supply software, turn on the multimeter, turn on Paul Daniels' multimeter software, pray that it works as is normal when using software from Australia, and let's see, get into this board and figure out what's wrong with it. Looks like my rehot station has been shipped. Thank you. Awesome! Bonus points if USPS doesn't lose it. Or, okay. Alright. Let's get into this and make this board work again. Beautiful software. Okay, so we're gonna plug this thing in. As you can see, we get a green light on the charger, but it's only taking 30 milliamps. So let's open it up and try to see if we can figure out what's wrong with this MacBook now, shall we? So the first thing we're going to do is use our multimeter and take a couple of measurements. We're going to see what... Now, we have a green light on the charger. The light is green, which means PP3V42_G3 hot, which is required for the one-wire circuit to work so that the green light will come on the charger is present. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the next set of power rails. Now, anytime you have a no power issue on a MacBook, what you're going to want to do is check the power lines. So we are going to open up Flex Board View over here, scroll over to the 820-00165, which corresponds to this model MacBook, and see what it is that we can do. So let's find the list of power rails in this schematic. We're going to find that, I think, on page 60-something, and here we are. Now the first rail we're going to see here is our PP bus. PP bus. So let's take a look at the PP bus. Okay. What is your opinion on the news of them doing a 180 on independent repairs? On one hand, it's good. On the other hand, it's not exactly something that's super exciting or competitive. The pricing that they have put is not... it's nothing to get really excited about. So if you offer repair to customers, most of them are probably going to opt for a copy screen, because from what I saw, the pricing is really not something that people are going to be willing to pay for. Most people are going to want the knockoff screen when you give them these prices. For example, we fixed the iPhone 6s screen for $70 here, and I think we get the screen for around 50-something. Not a lot of profit. We really just do it as kind of a loss leader, so that people, you know, when they need data recovery, they show up here. Like, I don't really care about making like $15 to do something that has liability attached. You know, like the phone could die, the customer could come back and say it doesn't work within a year, the customer could say like, this liquid damage wasn't there until you touched my phone, kind of thing. That entire experience that you have to deal with is, and if you're paying a skilled employee, it's really not worth it. Now, it's worth it to most small repair shops if they're buying the shitty screen at $13 or $25 and they charge their customer $70. Then they're making $50. For us, we take it on the chin. We buy the $55 screen, which is, you know, the best you can get for the 6S. We replace it. We usually never have to see them again. And the screen is a good screen. And if they do wind up coming back, which is very rare, I mean, they're usually going to be coming back because they need data recovery or they want a MacBook fixed or something that's actually profitable, not like replacing a screen for $15. But the Apple pricing, it looked like it was in the 80s for the iPhone 6s LCD by itself, and it goes up if you don't return the original. So you have to return the original screen to get exchange pricing, where you're going to be paying somewhere in like around $87 for a 6s screen. That means you're going to have to charge over $100 for it, and that's the point at which most customers are going to say no, or just screw it, give me the knockoff. So you can tell customers, I will give you a refurb or a third party, or I'll give you the OEM. And here's the thing, a lot of customers that say they want the original screen installed, the thing is, when you show them the price differences and you show them the quality differences, most people for an old phone are going to go for the knockoff. And the same is true with the iPhone 10. Like the iPhone, if you want to buy the iPhone 10 screen, and I understand why it's expensive, I respect it. If you want to buy the iPhone 10 screen from Apple, you're looking at over $200. And again, you know, it's an OLED, it's a quality display and everything, but at the same time, customers, if you give them an option, you could pay this or that, they're not going to want to pay that. And I think most of them are going to wind up going for knockoff screens anyway. It's a nice thing on Apple's part. I appreciate that they're at least letting us into their supply chain. You know, that's kind of them. But it is a step in the right direction, and I am happy for that step in the right direction. But it's not a step that particularly affects me. I'm never going to have access to this. That's not happening. I'm never going to be able to buy this stuff. Most of my business is not really iPhone screen repair. Again, iPhone data recovery, MacBook logic board repair. This is the stuff that makes me money, not iPhone screen repair. I still think that it seems like it's going to be something where most consumers, they're going to go, you know, I really want the original screen. Then you're going to say, okay, if you want the third party that's quality, it's $70. If you want the original screen, it's $120 for a phone that's 3 or 4 years old. Most consumers are just going to say, just give me, never mind. Like they're going to present themselves as somebody that wants the original. But I bet that probably 7 out of 10 people are going to go for the cheaper one just from that. Also, that's Canadian pricing that you're giving KC Auto Doctor, so that's just make sure you convert it. I would appreciate seeing that link in the chat, but again, it's Justin Millman says in my chat, no consumer will understand this. They're not going to know the difference between the original or the refurbished or the copy. So that is another thing. It's going to be a little bit confusing for the consumer. You're going to have to explain it over and over again, and that's just going to make business, or at least if you're doing it in a fast-paced environment, difficult. I think it would be cool to have displays in the front where you could say, you could have an iPhone and say, this is a knockoff screen, this is an original, and then choose what you want. So try it out. It's right in front of you. Type on it, look at pictures on it, choose what you want. I think that would be the easiest way to have customers do it. I'm not going to bother with something like that because, again, iPhone screen repair is not really, like, we do maybe 1 or 2 a day, if even, probably less. I really, really don't enjoy doing iPhone screen repair. It's not fun. It's something that we do to prevent customers from going somewhere else and then taking their clicking hard drive to somebody else who then outsources the drive savers and charges them $5,000, and we could have done it for $900 where that's all profit for us just because we didn't fix their iPhone screen. But that's that. Again, it's not something that's super exciting for me. But it is cool in the sense that at the very least they're extending an olive branch, and you know, I'll take it even if it's a kind of a used cruddy up-old branch for what it is. So anyway, so we're going to go through the list of power rails here in the list. Someone said that the USA price is converted from Canadian pesos. I do not trust anybody that thinks that it's called a Canadian peso. Now we go over here, and 3.5 volts on PP3V42, 0 volts on PP... Actually, here we go. This is interesting. So check it out. We have 8.6 volts on PP bus G3 hot on one side of the fuse. 0 volts on the other side of the fuse. Okay, so what is going on here? This is interesting. So let's take a look and see what's going on around this circuit. So let's check out F7140. F7140 is the bridge between the circuit that creates PP bus G3 hot and the system itself. So this fuse has blown. We have 8.6 volts on this side. We have 0 on that side. Now we're going to see what the resistance to ground is on the other side over there and see what is going on. So if we check around that fuse area, obviously I'm going to unplug my charger. You don't want the charger to be plugged in when you're doing any sort of resistance measurements here. And we are going to check for the resistance to ground, and as you can see, we've got a short circuit. This means that just about anything on PP bus G3 hot could be causing a short circuit to ground. So let's just take a little look around the board with the microscope and see if we can find out where a short circuit is and solve our problem. So we are going to do this, and we are going to turn the light on, and let's take a look. So thank you very much for the kind words, and I really appreciate it, and I hope that your repair shop is very, very successful. Like, seriously, you do you, and you kick ass and win. Okay, it looks like we have what looks like an apricot in here. So, look at that. Apricot. Or maybe a piece of pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin pie. Can I eat the food that I found in this MacBook?
I wouldn't advise it.
Why not?
That might make you very sick.
I'm hungry. I wonder what you are. What's that? According to the schematic diagram, that's a capacitor on PP-Bus S5 high-side computing iSense. Let's take a look at PP-Bus S5 high-side computing iSense to get an idea of what that is. We're going to look through and see. Now, that looks like a rail created by PP-Bus G3 hot. So PP-Bus G3 hot goes in the current sense resistor, goes out as PP-Bus S5 high-side computing iSense. So this is a current sense resistor. There's going to be a teeny tiny bicicleta, as Cartman would say, a teeny tiny voltage drop from this side to the other side of the resistor. Now that voltage drop is going to be proportional to the amount of current the system is using. And that amount of current the system is using is going to be something that this chip is going to be able to calculate, because it's going to be able to tell what the difference in voltage is between here and here. It's going to send something to the SMC, and the SMC is going to go, oh yay, now I know how much amperage this is using, which is great. So PP-Bus G3 hot, this is a sub-rail. So PP-Bus S5 high-side computing iSense is a sub-rail of PP-Bus G3 hot, which means that totally explains how our short circuit is showing up on a capacitor on this rail when we measured a short on this rail. So what we're going to do is we are going to remove that capacitor, and we are going to repeal and replace it with a better one. So let's go on and get that done. So that's C7621, a 62 microfarad capacitor, 11 volt, polytantalum. This is something that we don't even have to take the machine out of the casing for. It's hot.
Another one?
Yep, just one cap.
I just had a 1707 like that.
I must have not have gotten to it quickly enough.
Same cap. Any 287, same date code.
How does an 81707 have the same date code on its cap as an A1466? Looks like our short circuit is now gone. So now we're going to have to replace that fuse that is most certainly blown. After we replace that fuse, we will have a beautifully working MacBook. And of course the capacitor. Trying to keep the heat off of the Wi-Fi card here. That pad is now ready for some solder. Solder. Soldier. Burn away that alcohol first. A little bit of happy flux. Just a teeny tiny bit. 1 or 2 millipoles. Thoughts on Apple Independent Repair Program? I think I'm going to be getting that question all day, even though I just uploaded a video about it and spent 5 minutes talking about it in this video. TLDR. Thank you, Apple, for taking a step towards making things repairable, but the pricing is such that it's going to be completely irrelevant. And not to repair shops, but to customers, because at the end of the day, it's the customers that are going to be choosing to have the third-party or inauthentic or non-genuine or refurbished or whatever the hell you want to call them parts put into the phones, rather than the Apple screens put into their phones. Also, not only are the buttons dying on my microscope camera, but now the HDMI out is also dying on it. Damn. Thank you very much to Rockford Tech. I appreciate it. But we are... Yeah, the prices don't look very competitive. Now, there was somebody that said that the prices that he gave me were already converted from Canadian to US dollars. That would actually make it worse, because at first I thought it was $87 for an iPhone 6s screen. If he's saying that those prices were already converted from Canadian to US dollars, that would mean that the pricing for an iPhone 6s screen is $117, and you can literally buy an iPhone 6s in good refurbished condition on eBay for $130. So that would be pretty bad. But I'm going to have to look that up when the stream is over. But yeah, again, it's good that the consumer has choice. But at the same time, I think that a lot of consumers that really, really say, I want an authentic, I want an original, I want an authentic, what's probably going to happen is you're going to have a lot of repair shops that have the either refurbished screen or third-party screen in the front of their store, and then an original screen in the front of their store, and they're going to say, here, try out this display iPhone, see the difference, tell me which screen you want. And when they see that one screen is going to cost them $70 and the other screen is going to cost them $140 to put in their phone, they're probably going to go with the cheaper one, given that the phone is old. I think that, again, it's not even going to be so much of an issue with the repair shops. It's going to be something where the consumers themselves decline to have authentic parts put in their phone. But it's more a symbolic thing for me, because, again, me personally, I don't make my money off of fixing broken iPhone screens. Even when I did do it, and it was more profitable, like in 2011, 12, and 13, it was still really a loss leader kind of service. Like, I'm making $20 to $40 for the, sometimes 50 on rare occasion, for 20 to 30 minutes of an experienced technician's time. It's not really, that's not what's paying the rent in New York City. That's not what's paying the employees and the insurance and the workman's comp and all that. What's paying all that is the data recovery and the board repair stuff. So it's not much that affects me. And I mean, even if I did make all my money off of iPhone stuff, let's be real here. I mean, I'm not ever getting accepted into that effing program. But again, that doesn't, just because I'm not going to get accepted into the program doesn't mean that it's not good news for other independents who would seek to be accepted, nor does it mean that the symbolic nature of it doesn't mean something. The fact that Apple is actually reaching across the aisle and saying, we're going to offer you the same, terrible pricing structure that we offer our own AASP. That's fair, Like, again, I think that much of what you get being an AASP is not worth it. It's not competitive. But at the same time, at least you have the option to offer that to the customer. And it does show that they're open and willing to, open up non-AASPs to the same things that AASPs had access to. So I think again, when I say symbolic, I think it's good in the fact that they're getting used to the concept of dealing with independence. And I think that's a step in the right direction, even if it's not something that's particularly exciting for me. Again, I can't get a schematic to this MacBook. There's no way, even if I were to apply to that program and were to be accepted, which again is never going to happen, that there's no way that I'm actually going to be able to get access to stuff like, an ISL 9239 or ISL 9240. But still, it's good for others. And it is a step in the right direction. And you should always encourage people that when they make a step in the right direction, if they do make a step in the right direction, it's really important that you make them feel like they made a good decision rather than make them think, gee, why the hell did I bother with that? You really don't want them to have the I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't mentality, because then they're not likely to take further steps. So there are people that are saying, this is not really good enough. It doesn't really give us access to all the other stuff that's actually valuable. And, I'm not saying that they're not right, but I'm saying that that type of attitude is going to be the very reason that the company doesn't bother creating a program to give you access to the things you want access to. So I think it's good to incentivize them. Why don't you offer working holiday so your fans can pay and come and work in your new location, not the difficult stuff of painting and putting furniture together? The liability, really. So if somebody shows up and is, let's say there's no workman's comp. I see where that's going right now. My workman's comp policy wouldn't cover them. Somebody shows up and goes, ow, my knee. And then I'm stuck paying for their surgery or something, or I'm stuck being out of pocket, getting sued for $150,000 because they hurt themselves on my unsafe premises. It's 70 years ago, that's absolutely something I think would be cool to do, but in today's society, that's not something that I think is viable, unfortunately. Although it would certainly be cool. The thing that I'm most concerned with now is the fact that it's going to cost a ridiculous amount of money to move there, and a lot of what I've done with YouTube has really painted me into a corner when it comes to financing. So, one of the things I remember saying is that there was an investor back in as early as 2016 that was open to giving me enough money to open a franchise and do all this cool stuff, but I'd have to, leave the business and also get rid of a lot of the YouTube videos and not make new ones. And when I've met with people about financing, they've repeatedly went over this idea that you could have made videos 95% as much as you did, but you go that last 10% to make sure you're not just demonstrating competence, you're showing other people how to be competent and do the very work so that they would be your own competition. That makes this not a business where you feel comfortable investing in. You're actively funding your competition by giving them the knowledge. They would bring up examples of other businesses that did this, and they would show you how they're doing everything, but you don't walk away from that video being able to reproduce what they did. Whereas with your videos, they walk away from it being able to not only do what you do, but teach others how to do what you do. It's ridiculous. So one of the barriers to getting investment is the very fact that I've uploaded YouTube videos like this. So that's what I'm going to be facing when it comes down to getting funding and everything for construction and all that in the new space. But it is what it is. Building furniture and all that stuff, I'm not worried about too much. I'm already in a wheelchair. It does not matter anymore. I'm sure with how careless I am that we'd find some way for something to happen. 5 loonies equals $3.76. Okay, so now we're going to see if this thing works. So I'm going to plug it in, get the amp meter on the screen. Let's see what the charger does. So right now it looks like it is taking up to 500 milliamps, and then it just turned itself off, but now it turned itself on, and you'd better stay working, you little MacBook with your apricot in you. We're going to keep that apricot there for good luck. So let's see what this thing does. It is plugged in, and I would expect that it boot. And it does boot, which means that we're good. I saw an Apple logo. At the end of the day, if I see an Apple logo, I'm pretty sure that all the work is done here. No need for any of that nonsensical quality assurance, quality control testing. What? This is what's going to increase our costs when we build out the new space, I want to make sure this wall is steady before we have customers go here. We can't afford this, Paul. We're short on time and funds.
12.23. You said it was fixed. Didn't recognize battery. 12.23.
What?
1502.
It's not my fault you ripped the resistor off of it for SMC on-off L.
That didn't fix it.
To sabotage me and make me look bad the same way that posters on our Apple do. You're sabotaging me. You're ripping resistors off of my completed repairs, are you not? I don't have a pair of glasses. That's not fair. You win. Robin Williams. So what we had today was a short circuit on PP Bus G3 hot, and then we but the capacitor that looked exploded was a capacitor on PP bus S5 high side computing iSense. And what I did there is I tried to show you how it is we're able to locate that was a subrail. Thank you very much, Jack said. I highly appreciate that. We're able to find out how it was that is a subrail of PP bus G3 hot. So now you can tell how to tell when something is a subrail. So if you have a short on this rail, but a component on this rail is the one that's broken, hopefully you have a little bit of a greater idea of how that works. We were able to fix it, and that's about that. It's working, it's booting, it's lovely, it's quality controlled, tested, quality assured. I don't even have to screw the bottom onto this thing. No. And, no, we're kidding there. Somebody will ultrasonic this, quality control, all that good stuff in the front. But that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.